Hello and welcome to this weekend's edition of the Harrisburg Heat Flash. I'm joined right now by Harrisburg Heat head coach Tarik Walker. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Coach, obviously there's been a busy offseason for the Harrisburg Heat this offseason. First of all, talk about preseason camp and how it went.
Well, it went well for us. We brought in 3 or 4 guys from our open camp, and they showed very well. We brought in our off-season signings throughout the camp, so everything went well. I think we stayed healthy, which is always a huge key. You never want to go into a season limping into a season, so everybody's pretty much healthy, and we got the work done and got the concepts over that we wanted to. So we hope to see what that does for us on Friday night.
You talked about a big theme in the offseason, as you and I talked, was competition. How did the players compete? Were you satisfied from the competition standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, everything was at a high level. We adjusted some of our roster, bringing in some key veterans that will help us, and so I think that brought our competition level up a bit. And again, guys were working hard and learning and competing, and that's exactly what we wanted through the preseason.
One thing I can imagine, Coach, that's kind of a joyful thing for a coach, is to sit back and watch guys that maybe were going to surprise you from a terms of a positive standpoint, of guys that you didn't know could compete that well. Were there any of those that stood out in your mind?
Well, I think, anytime you bring in guys from an open tryout situation into your full team camp, there's always some surprises. So we had Boomer Stiegelman was a good surprise, Dominic Francis as well, and Ryan Morris were a couple guys that we brought in through our open tryout situation, and they came in and showed very well, mixed in very well with the guys, and so we're looking to add them to our roster throughout the season.
And we talked about, we jokingly named the system you employ here in Harrisburg the Midwest offense,
right.
Based off of one of your former coaches and some ideas that you created from him. And talk about Keith Tozer was kind of the guy who liked to do it in Milwaukee a little bit. From a teaching standpoint, do you think things are going to be better this year because more people know what you're doing, and you even brought in some guys that really seem to have a grasp?
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about it last year that it's going to be a learning curve, and sometimes that curve can go down or go up depending on where you are in the process. And I think right now we are at a positive curve. Everybody came in. We didn't have to go backwards when we started camp. As a coach that came in and they knew exactly what the basics were. And so we were able to build on top of that, and I think that's always huge for a preseason.
We would get the sense that the Tyler Whitmers, the Kenny Fultzes of the world, even the Val Teixeiras to some extent. Now that this is their second year in that, did you see the growth there from that?
I definitely did. And like I said, whenever you come into a preseason, when you're learning concepts and trying to add and build, you never want to go backwards. And from the first day, we didn't have to go backwards, and so that's going to be a huge plus for us going into the season.
And whether you're running something as simple as a give and go, or something as complex as a West Coast offense in American football, I would think that the one thing you always hear athletes talk about is you want to be able to play without thinking. You feel like you're a step closer to that.
And I think part of that too is getting you always hear the cliche of everybody being on the same page, and so we were able to do that with that core group. And so adding those couple guys that we think were veterans that know some of those concepts already helped us, and then those younger guys from the open coming in and picking up right away also helped us as well.
The other thing you look for when you talk about in terms of a preseason camp from a coaching standpoint, I would think you want to see guys come together and bond in a camp. Do you feel like this team is more of a team that came out of camp as opposed to the players that just walked in at the start?
I think that what you say is pretty big in going forward as a team. We have after our training sessions a little group talk about what happened in the trainings, what we see going forward. And last night was one of those times where we had a training session and I didn't have to say anything because our guys were together and talking. So that's always huge.
Yeah, and if you're looking for positives, I guess, from last year, and I'm sure you've all also turned the page from last year too, but if you're looking for one positive, guys, it was kind of a young team, and guys really you never got the sense that anybody was pointing the finger at anybody else. It was a really good locker room. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, and they all grew together. We took our growing pains. Obviously, there's some lumps during the season.
Sure.
But they all grew together and stuck together and kept working through it. And so we're going to use all that positive stuff going into the next season.
Sure. Well, I think Michael Jordan even may have said it best. Before you learn how to succeed, you have to learn how to fail, and handle failure properly before you move forward and succeed.
And like I said, when you talk about a learning curve, sometimes that curve can be on a negative slide, and we're turning it positive now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This has been Coach Tarik Walker. This has been the Harrisburg Heat Flash. Stay tuned for more from the Heat Flash on Heat social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and also on our website at harrisburgheat.com. Thank you so much for joining us.